Imagine you go to a concert and you're watching your favorite musician rock out and you're mesmerized. After the performance, you're speechless. You say to yourself, wow, how talented is this guy? Or maybe you're watching a football match and your favorite player saves the match by scoring a fantastic goal. You again say to yourself, man, this guy is so talented. But is that all it really takes? Just talent and nothing else? Well, there was a study done once on a group of people where people were made to hear two sets of music. For the first one, they were told that it was recorded by a musician who was extremely talented, and for the second one, they were told that it was recorded by a musician who was extremely hardworking. What they found was that 66% of the people thought that the talented musician's music actually sounded better. But here's the thing, they were both the exact same recording, recorded by the same person. So, this shows that our society has a bias for talent. We like to think that great people do great things because they're talented, but this is a massive lie. And that is what we learn in this book called Grit by Angela Duckworth. So first, let's understand what talent really is. But before we do that, tell me in the comments below what you think your talent is. When you think of talent, what is the first thing that you usually think of? Maybe you think of a 5-year-old child who started playing the piano on his own without any teaching. Or maybe you think of a 7-year-old who's naturally gifted at being a great basketball player. But here's the actual definition of talent. It's simply how fast you can pick up a new skill. So let's say you and me both go to a guitar class at the same time and we learn from the same teacher in the exact same way. And let's say we're equally intelligent and there's absolutely no difference between us. If you learn how to play the guitar faster than me, then you are more talented. But that's all talent really is, the speed with which you pick up new things. But is that the only thing that matters? Now, before we go ahead, I want to make one thing very clear. The point of this video isn't to show you that talent does not matter at all, because of course it matters, but the real question we're trying to answer today is how much does talent matter? The problem with most people is that when they see a great achievement, like when they see someone get a gold medal at the Olympics, they overemphasize talent. You read any article about a great achievement and you will see the word talent over and over again. Why do we do this? Well, it's because talent is an excuse. Yes, you heard that right. Talent is an excuse for us to not feel bad about ourselves. If we call someone talented, in a way we're saying that that person was born with more ability than us, and so now we have an excuse about why we cannot achieve those things. Calling other people talented is almost like a cop-out because it allows us to ignore everything else that is in our control, and if we go down this path, it is almost a sure sign that we are going to fail. Now here's where things get interesting. Most people think that talent leads to achievement, but the answer that Angela gives us in the book is a lot different. In reality, the equation looks something like this. Talent times effort equals to skill, and skill times effort equals to achievement. So let's say you have a bit of talent in something, like painting for example. If you don't put in any effort in it, nothing is going to happen as such. You're going to be better than an average painter, but you won't be able to achieve anything big. But let's say you start putting in some effort and you start to develop a skill. Now you have a skill of painting, but only because you put in the effort. Now let's say you put in even more effort into your skill. You keep working for years and years, and eventually you are going to achieve something big. You're going to become the 1% in your field, and that's only because of more effort. So if you look at these equations carefully, you're going to realize that effort counts twice. And that is the main thing that I want you to remember today. Talent matters, skill matters, but the only thing that matters the most in achievement is effort. And the ability to put in effort over a long period of time in spite of obstacles is what the author calls grit. In the book, Angela tells us about how she came to realize the importance of grit. West Point is a military academy in the US, and according to the statistics, it is harder to get accepted into than Harvard. However, not everyone who gets into West Point makes it out. A lot of people drop out because they cannot keep up with the workload. Now, psychologists would try and predict who would stay using all kinds of metrics. They tried talent, intelligence, aptitude, etc. But they couldn't find a single determining factor that could predict who would graduate. Then they decide to try one more quality called grit. They define grit as passion plus perseverance. In the end, they found that grit was the greatest predictor of success at West Point. Nothing else even came close. They tried this in a lot of other areas as well, in sales companies, in different universities, and they always found that people who had the highest amount of grit were the people who achieved the most success. Now the question arises, how do we know if we have grit? Well, there are 4 characteristics of gritty people. Number 1, they have an interest and a passion. They enjoy what they do and are committed to their passions. They dedicate time to their interests every single day. Number 2, they have an ability to practice. Someone with grit will dedicate themselves to practicing every single day. Number 3, they have a purpose. Someone with grit understands their purpose and why they do the things they do. And number 4 is that they have hope. Now the biggest question of all is, can we develop grit? Or is grit something that people are born with? Are some people more naturally gifted than others? And is there any way we can increase our grit? Well, the answer is yes, we can develop grit. Some people have more grit than others, but everyone can increase their levels of grit. But for that, we have to focus on these 4 characteristics that we talked about. Number 1, interest and passion. If you want to develop your grit, you have to at least be doing something you're interested in. For example, if you hate computer programming, no matter how much you try, it is going to be very difficult for you to develop grit in learning it. Unfortunately, most people work in jobs they hate and they do things they don't really like, and this is why they aren't able to develop grit. Now, if you've watched my video on why following your passion is bad advice by Cal Newport, you must be a little confused. You might be thinking, well, should we or shouldn't we find our passion? And here's the answer to that. Most of the time, we misunderstand how passion develops. Passion isn't something that one day you wake up with and you want to change the world. It's something that develops over time as you get good at a particular skill. So instead of focusing extremely hard on what your passion is, think about your interests. What are your interests that have a real world value to other people? You can't just say, my interest is to sit at home and do nothing. That doesn't add value to other people. And now, your job is to nurture that interest. Like a little seed, you don't expect it to become a plant overnight. You water it, you let it get some sunshine, and slowly but surely, the flowers of passion will bloom. Number 2 is practice. Whatever you want to do, you have to practice it regularly if you want to improve in it. And this practice cannot be doing the same thing over and over again. It has to be a deliberate practice at the edge of your comfort zone that makes you learn new things. For example, if you're learning to play the piano, you practice one song for a while, you get good at it, and once you're really good at it, then you move on to something else that is more challenging. You cannot keep playing the same song over and over again because this way you won't be able to grow at all. This is known as practicing at the edge of your comfort zone. Don't keep practicing where you're comfortable, just keep expanding your practice little by little and keep making it tougher. That is how you develop grit. Number 3 is having a purpose. You need to have one massive goal, one that encompasses all your other smaller goals. For example, you can't just say you want to earn $1 million through public speaking. That is a small goal. That is not a purpose. A purpose would be, I want to help 1 million people or 10 million people improve their lives and become better people. This is your purpose. And under this, you can have smaller goals like earning $1 million or hiring 20 employees, etc. Now under these, you can have even smaller goals and so on. But the point is that all these goals should lead up to that one purpose. A lot of times, you have to give up smaller goals due to some problems, but as long as you have that one main goal, you will keep persisting. And number 4 is hope. Gritty people have hope. They think they can improve their future through their own efforts. Getting up each time they're knocked down requires faith that ultimately they will succeed. Optimists look for the cause of their suffering, which they think is temporary and solvable, and gritty people are optimists. They think to themselves that yes, I failed, but I'll do better next time. Pessimists, on the other hand, think that they failed because of reasons out of their control. They're more likely than optimists to get depressed and anxious. And this is why you need to have a growth mindset. You have to believe that you can grow in all areas of your life if you put in the effort. You have to hope that things are going to become good for you. That is how you'll be able to deal with the setbacks. That is how if you get knocked down 7 times, you get back up the 8th time. That is how ultimately you become more gritty, and that is how you win. So to summarize, remember that talent isn't the most important thing. Remember that effort counts twice, and grit is what matters the most. And there are 4 ways in which you can develop grit. Number 1 is that you need to have a passion and an interest. Number 2 is to practice deliberately at the edge of your comfort zone. Number 3 is to have a larger purpose. And number 4 is to have hope and a growth mindset. You can watch my video here to learn more about the growth mindset. And also, good news guys, my channel has been remonetized, so I'll be back to making videos for you. Please click the like button if you enjoyed this video. It helps to support the channel, and subscribe and click the notification icon so you don't miss any of my future videos. That's all for now, and thank you so much for watching.